Been a week like no other in harness racing, and hopefully we won't be seeing another one in the very near future. With all the information concerning some drivers and trainers that have been injured over the past 7 days, I'm joined by Harness Racing New South Wales steward, Mr. Chris Jasprizza. Well, Chris, thanks for joining us. We've had a number of harness racing drivers and trainers heading off to hospital over the past 7 days, commencing with Jack Callaghan back at Bankstown last Monday.
Yeah, that's right. Jack Callaghan was driving one for Peter Russo, Tequiro, and it broke gate on the first turn, and Jack was dislodged from that horse. He was run over by a couple of runners that were trailing him. We did have some concerns whether Mr. Callaghan was concussed at the time. He was cleared by the paramedics, but we did send him for some further medical tests, and he was cleared and resumed driving last Thursday at Penrith.
And at Bathurst 2 days later, Michael Munro suffered a very severe injury.
Yeah, that's right. He, on the first turn, a horse galloped out wider on the track and shifted down. Unfortunately, Mr. Munro couldn't avoid that horse and he was dislodged from the cart. He has a fractured pelvis. He is back at home recovering now, but won't be driving for some time. And
24 hours later at Penrith, we had Ross Adams and Jimmy Douglas come to grief.
That's right. In the last race, Mr. Douglas's horse Lynx, when it was proceeding to the front, appeared to jump its own shadow and fell. Mr. Adams, which was racing back in the field, was unable to avoid that. And he was also dislodged from the sulky. Mr. Douglas and Mr. Adams were both transported to hospital with concussion. Mr. Douglas was released on Friday morning, and Mr. Adams still remains in hospital. He has some broken ribs and just general soreness, and hopefully he'll be released from hospital this week.
The accidents don't just happen on the track. Unfortunately, Chris Barry Lou was injured in the stalls at Dubbo on Friday.
That's right. He was gearing up one of his horses later in the night. Just something simple as putting a knee boot on. The horse jumped forward and got loose and run over the top of him, trod on him, and he has sustained some injuries to his ribs and shoulder. Nothing confirmed as broken as yet, but he is in some discomfort, and we're just waiting further results from those tests for him.
Finally, Chris, we headed back to Newcastle on Monday, and once again, 3 drivers were injured.
That's right. There was Anthony Varga, Jack Callaghan, Chris Geary. They all fell, and I believe Darren McCall was also involved. I wasn't there, but they're the 4, I believe. All drivers come away relatively well. Chris Geary isn't driving at today's meeting. He just has some general soreness, so did forgo his drives today. Anthony Varga is stood down a medical clearance due to just landing awkwardly on his back.
I thought he would have been the more serious of the trio. I saw Anthony virtually crawling on his hands and knees trying to get off the track.
Yeah, that's right. I did see the same thing, and I wasn't sure how he was, but I've spoken to Dan Westwood, the steward up there, and all drivers were cleared of any injury.
Yeah, with Jack Callaghan, that's 2 Mondays in a row. We're either got to stop Jack from driving on Mondays or get him a seatbelt.
Yeah, that's correct. And as been mentioned to Mr. Callaghan, so yeah, hopefully next Monday he's all clear.
Well, Chris, thanks very much for that update. We wish everyone that you've just mentioned all the very best of luck, a speedy recovery. Some have already recovered, as you mentioned. Jack's still driving and Jimmy's driving, but all the other drivers and trainers, Barry Lou, we certainly wish them a very speedy recovery, and let's hope this is past us now as far as injuries of this note.
Yeah, let's hope so.